All right, first and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shah, who the world calls Christ. It's your brother Yaquab, HOIGA, back at you with another quick doctrine cut. And today we're going to be talking about a particular doctrine that's still running around in our community, mainly amongst our sisters. And it's the doctrine of Lilith. And everybody should know or have heard of this doctrine. Lilith is allegedly a demon from the garden that was allegedly Adam's first wife. He put her away because she didn't want to be subservient. So we're going to dig a little bit into this, find out where they got this from, and ultimately what this is. So without further ado, I did a quick Google search on Lilith, right? Anybody can look this up. There's as you can see, there's plenty of books on Lilith that has been written over the years. If there's a few in particular that points all the way back to feminism, like this one right here. Feminist writers recreate the world's first woman, things of that nature. So we're going to talk a little bit about this alleged demon Lilith, right? So it says here, and I'm not gonna click on any articles. I'm just gonna read what I just typed in. Right, it says Lilith is a demonic figure. She is first mentioned in biblical Hebrew in Isaiah 34:14, and later in late antiquity in Mandaean Gnosticism mythology. Now, Mandaean Gnosticism mythology, that's the Mandaeans or the Babylonians. Of course, Gnosticism is dealing with knowledge or, you know, religious beliefs or whatever, where we get the term knowledge from Gnostic, right? So it's a Babylonian belief, right? And Jewish mythology, sources from 500 CE onwards. So what came around 500 circa? The Babylonian Talmud, right? Lilith appears in historicals or historiolas in various concepts and localities that give partial descriptions of her, right? So they're saying that this was first mentioned in Isaiah 34:14. So we're going to find out what Isaiah 34:14 says about Lilith, right? So we're going to go to Isaiah. We're going to go to 34. And just to get some context on what Isaiah 34 is talking about, we're going to start at verse 5. All right. And it reads, Isaiah 34:5, "For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the judgment, or Salakia, and upon the people of my curse to judgment." So this is talking about the judgments and the desolation of Idumea, right? So now let's go down to 14, where they get this whole thing about Lilith, right? Verse 14, it says, "The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellows. The screech owl also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest." So there's two main beasts being mentioned here. There's the satyr or satyr, however you want to pronounce it, and then there's the screech owl, right? So let's find out what these two creatures are. So we're going to go here. We're going to type in Isaiah 34. And we're going to read about what this is. So Isaiah 34:14. And we're going to start as a satyr or a satyr, however it's pronounced, right? In the Strong's H8163. A satyr from shaggy as noun, a he-goat. By analogy, a fawn, devil, goat, hairy, kid, rough. So this is where they get that half man, half goat thing. They get that from this word, right? And in the Hebrew, it's just a he-goat. That's all it is. A he-goat, buck. As sacrificial, a sacrificial animal. Satyr may refer to a demon-possessed goat like the swine of Gadara. So all it is a wild goat. A wild he-goat. That's all it is, right? So let's go back and let's see what this other animal it is that's mentioned. The screech owl. And that's Strong's H3917, right? And guess what it is? Lilith, or Lilith, right? This is where they get it from. Lilith, from H3915, a night spectre, screech owl, right? So this is where they getting Lilith from, right here, right? Lilith, name of a female goddess known as a night demon who haunts the desolate places of Edom. Might be a nocturnal animal that inhabits desolate places. So it's just an owl. That's all it is. You see what I'm saying? That's what Lilith is. It's an owl. It's a screech owl, right? So let's find out. Let's see what a screech owl is. Screech owls are typical owls belonging to the genus Megascops with 23 living species. For most of the 20th century, this genus was merged with the Old World Scops owls in Otis, but nowadays it is again considered separately based on a range of biogeographical, morphological, and DNA sequence data. So it's nothing more than an owl. So it's a genus of owls. That's all a screech owl is. And if you ever seen any scary movies, or we all do tabernacles every year, and you're out there in that wilderness, you hear those owls at night. They're nocturnal animals, right? They hunt at night. That's what it says here, right? It says might be a nocturnal animal that inhabits desolate places, right? So let's see what a screech owl sounds like, just so we can get an idea why it's haunting this desolate place. You see that? It has a very distinct sound. And when you're out there in that wilderness at night by yourself, that's a pretty scary and terrifying sound. You see what I'm saying? So that's why it says the wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellows. This a wild goat, a wild he-goat. The screech owl is where they get Lilith from, also shall rest there and find for herself a place of rest. So that's where these wild animals are going to be, in this desolate place. You see what I'm saying? So it's the sound that this screech owl makes that makes it haunting and terrifying, right? So this is why we got to be careful when we dibbling and dabbling into these other doctrines, man. And especially with our women, because our women, matter of fact, let's get a couple scriptures on that. Let's go to 1 Peter. And we're going to get 3. We're going to start at verse 5. Verse 5, and it reads, for after this manner, in the old time, the holy women also who trusted in God adorned themselves, being in subjection unto their own husbands. So it's saying that our women are supposed to be in subjection unto their husbands, right? What does Lilith represent or stand for? Feminism. Women doing what the hell they want to do. And that's how they fall into, you know, doctrines like this, right? Verse 7. Likewise, ye husbands, dwell with them according to knowledge, giving honor unto the wife as unto the weaker vessel. Why is it saying that they're a weaker vessel? Because they'll fall for this stuff. You see what I'm saying? You telling them something that sounds good to them, that's empowering to them, they're going to run with that. They're not going to do any research. They're not going to look into it. They're just going to take your word for it and run with it and try to spread it. Let me finish this out. And as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. You see what I'm saying? So let's get an example of our women being beguiled or being a weaker vessel. We're going to get Genesis 3, and we're going to start at verse 4. So this is the serpent in the garden. And the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die. So this is talking about the tree of good and evil. So now the serpent comes unto the woman saying, hey, go ahead. Yeah, you can have that. You know what I mean? Ain't nothing going to happen. You're going to be all right. You see what I'm saying? Verse 5. For God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. So now this serpent is telling the woman that, you know, whatever she wants to hear. Yeah, you're going to be like a god. That's where you get the black woman is God from. You see what I'm saying? And they're running with that. You see what I'm saying? You got all kind of doctrines out there talking about Women were asexual. They could reproduce on their own through sperm that used to develop in their bone marrow with no proof, no research. They're just believing in it because some guy told them this and it sounded good. You see what I'm saying? So let's see what happened. Verse 6. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, when she saw this dude, and he probably looked, you know, a decent looking dude, right? And that it was pleasant to the eyes and a tree to be desired to make one wise. He sounded good. You see what I'm saying? What she's receiving from him sounds good. Yeah, you know what I mean? You're a goddess and, you know what I mean? You should be worshiped, whatever. She's falling for it because it sounds good. He doesn't have to prove anything. You see what I'm saying? Finish that out. She took of the fruit thereof. She took it and did eat. So she took this information, the pseudo information that was handed to her, didn't look into it. She just ate it up. You see what I'm saying? And what else did she do? And gave also unto her husband with her. And he did eat. So not only did she take it, she's spreading it around to everybody. You see what I'm saying? No research, nothing to back it up. You see what I'm saying? That's how you get this doctrine of Lilith, and which all goes back to feminism anyways. You see what I'm saying? Let's get a couple more and then I'm gonna wrap it up. We're gonna get Ecclesiastes 3 or Salakia 12 and 12. And it reads, and further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books. There is no end. There's no end to these, you know, these books, these extra biblical sources, these pseudo-pigraphical books. There's no end to that. And much study is a weariness of the flesh. Because one thing we tend to do, especially with dealing with extra biblical sources, is we start to blend them in. We start to mix them in with the truth. And after a while, that pseudo-pigraphical book is going to take over. It's going to be more truth in that than in the actual scriptures. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying that much study is weariness of the flesh. You see what I'm saying? Let's get another one. 1 Timothy. We're going to get 1 Timothy 4. We're going to start at Salakia. We're going to get 1 Timothy 1. That's what I wanted. 1 Timothy 1 and verse 4. Neither give heed to fables and endless genealogies, which minister questions rather than godly edifying, which is in faith, so do. So these fables and endless genealogies, you know what I mean? Eve was asexual, or Lilith was the first husband of Adam. You see what I'm saying? These are all fables that we shouldn't give heed to. You see what I'm saying? Let's get one more. We're going to go to 1 Timothy, or rather 2 Timothy 4, and we're going to start at verse 3. And it reads, for the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine. What's that sound doctrine? The law, statutes, commandments. That's all you need. The Most High ain't finna ask you for a breakdown of this and that and that and this. And if you ain't got that breakdown, you can't get into the kingdom. The doctrine is the law, statutes, commandments, and the faith in Christ. That's the doctrine. But after their own lust shall they heap to themselves teachers having itching ears. That's just not enough for some of our people, mainly our women. You know what I mean? With those itching ears, they just can't get enough. You see what I'm saying? Verse 4. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth. They're going to turn away from this book, right? And shall be turned unto fables. They're going to be turned unto fables. What's fables? The book of Adam and Eve, Jubilees, Jasher, Enoch, the book of the giants. You see what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. And this is another case of it, Lilith. You see what I'm saying? Let's get one more. Do I have one more? No, I think that's good. I think that's good. So ultimately, Lilith is nothing more than a Babylonian fable. It has no business being in our community. All right. And with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High God, Yahweh. I do so in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahweh Shah, who the world calls Christ. It's your brother Yaquab, HOIGA. Shalom.